From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is Ag Day.
Cutting stress in kids.
I'm Charles Denny. Tennessee school children use yoga as a way to deal with stress. It's part of a University of Tennessee extension program called Thrive. That story coming up on Ag Day.
The future of farming.
I think we have a lot of opportunities to push from insights into actions.
Pursuing digital solutions when it comes to smart farming, as producers in the Northern Plains turn their attention to planting.
So we're actually not raising any wheat this year.
Plus a big announcement when it comes to labeling meat products.
Now you can't get by with slapping an American flag on the package unless the animal is born, raised, slaughtered, and processed in the U.S.
We have lots of news to get to right now on Ag Day.
Ag Day, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when blood, sweat, and tears meet rain, wind, and sun. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. A big announcement from USDA with regard to Product of the USA labeling. The Ag Secretary detailing a new policy mandating all meat products sold with that label must be derived from animals born, raised, slaughtered, and processed here in the U.S. Tom Vilsack making the announcement at this year's National Farmers Union Convention in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, the agency says the final rule allows the voluntary Product of USA or Made in the USA label claim to be used on meat, poultry, and egg products. That rule would prohibit misleading U.S. origin labeling in the market. Now, Vilsack says the rule is a response to thousands of comments from stakeholders as well as a consumer survey.
The reason for this is quite simple. We surveyed consumers. We asked them the question, when you see this label, what do you think it means? I said, well, what do you mean? It means everything was done in the United States. Well, actually, that's not been the case. Then we asked the question, do you place a value on that? I mean, in other words, are you willing to pay a nickel or two more if that is on the list? Well, absolutely. We want to help our farmers. So in order for that value proposition to be respected, in order for there to be fairness and honesty and proper representation in the marketplace, it's important to have rules like this.
For now, the rule is open for public comment for 60 days after it's published in the Federal Register. USDA says establishments that voluntarily take part will need to comply by January 1st, 2026.
Ag Day at Ag Industry Day is brought to you by the Mosaic Company, creating innovative advanced crop nutrition products and practices.
The warmer weather has many farmers planning to get seed in the ground earlier than normal, and that's the case as well in the Northern Plains. Ag Day's Michelle Rook joins me. And Michelle, farmers in that area recently got some key data that's impacting their planting decisions at this year's Ag Industry Day.
Yeah, farmers here in the Northern Plains got the outlook for the upcoming 2024 planting and growing season here at the CHS Ag Industry Day.
Northern Plains producers are facing much lower grain prices than a year ago and learned that may not change much for 2024, which is impacting their planting decisions.
It's a tighter margin, but we're growing edible beans this year, which is pretty good. That contract was good this year.
And he is not alone. Grand Forks area farmers tell us they're making some changes in their rotations.
Just running the numbers, we're barely over cost of production on soybean and corn, and wheat would be under. So we're actually not raising any wheat this year.
Randy Martinson participated in a marketing panel at the CHS Ag Industry Day and says he is seeing similar shifts from his clients in North Dakota.
I think we're going to see more beans in the whole state, less sunflowers, more canola, more dry edible beans, less barley, and I think wheat's going to suffer. I mean, it's just a lot of guys are pulling wheat out of their rotations because of the poor performance the market's having.
Meanwhile, Allison Thompson also worked with producers in North Dakota and Minnesota that are leaning towards more corn despite better margins for soybeans.
Last couple of years, we've had really good yields, surprisingly good yields for a lot of guys. So it's not surprising that they're leaning towards corn at this point versus soybeans. I think a lot of people up here in this neck of the woods definitely feel like we're kind of topped out on soybeans as far as yields and what they're capable of doing.
With very little snow on the ground in the northern plains, some farmers are concerned about drought, but are anticipating an early start to the planting season. That could mean some last-minute acreage shifts.
If we have an early spring, farmers like to plant corn, and that ends up being that 1 extra quarter of corn. Well, that 1 extra quarter of corn could mean no shift at all. And really, corn can't handle that. It needs to give up some acres. That would be a very tight situation for soybeans. So to me, soybeans have to buy some acres here moving forward.
But as we always say, Mother Nature will have the final say. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for Ag Day.
And planters could soon be rolling in many parts of the country, with areas of South Dakota, Iowa, and Wisconsin expected to see temperatures 30 to 40 degrees above normal. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht has more.
Yeah, the other thing that goes along with the warmer than average temperatures as we continue to even out as we go from winter into spring. The winds, strong wind gusts in and across parts of the Midwest as we go into our Tuesday afternoon, but also back into Oklahoma and Texas. Now watch what happens as we go forward into our Wednesday night and into our Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. The wind is going to be coming back. Again, it's one of those relationships that with those above average high temperatures, that wind is going to be increasing back to Oklahoma, Texas, back up here towards the plains as well. Quieter into the Midwest and down to the southeast in regards to the wind. I should say a weaker wind, not necessarily a quiet one. And then it comes right back for Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon. Getting more to the 15 to possibly 30 mile per hour range in and across the Midwest, but also into parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and into Missouri as well. And go ahead and take a look at your screen here. Clinton sending this one in Nebraska, sharing the video. He said he consulted with Mama and she decided a trip to the barn with her twins would be okay. What a wonderful mother there, keeping a close eye on her babies. And great work by Clinton getting them all back to the barn to warm up. I'll have more on your forecast, the warm up, coming up in just a bit.
Smart Farming Week on Ag Day is brought to you by John Deere. For generations before and generations to come, John Deere is part of your farm and your family. Whatever your technology needs, John Deere has the tools to help you grow your farm. And by ESN. Don't risk your nitrogen investment. ESN is designed to beat the 5 ROI killers and provide season-long end to your crop. Learn how ESN works at smartnitrogen.com.
This week, we're focused on smart farming and all of the innovations shaping the future of the industry. As we've seen in our personal lives, artificial intelligence and data analytics tools are popping up everywhere. That includes farming. Whether it's planting, spraying, sampling, or harvesting, data is everywhere on the farm.
Historically, what we've done is we've looked backwards at what happened, but that doesn't tell you what's going to happen.
Today, data isn't just being collected. It's being mined, processed, and integrated with a worldwide web of information.
We're getting to the point where growers are starting to expect us to help them take data and turn it into insights. But more than that, they want insights that are actionable. They want to, have an output for the data they've been collecting for years or decades.
That includes insights discovered with the help of artificial intelligence.
I think we have a lot of opportunities to push from insights into actions where AI and, some of those models, the predictive models that we can develop, can start to bring opportunities for the grower and their trusted advisor to maybe say, you should look at this product or practice on this specific field.
Bayer and Climate Field View isn't alone in its pursuit of digital farming solutions. NASA is also working to turn satellite data into actionable decisions for producers.
The science NASA has funded has gone into so many different agricultural applications. Google Maps, a lot of this stuff had its foundation off of NASA data initially. Cropland Data Layer, developed in a partnership between USDA and NASA. Born Ag Statistics, WASI reports, there's a huge component of satellite data that feeds into it that is powered by NASA observations.
Improving satellite resolution and increasing computer or computational power is now helping scientists at the Space Agency look at other solutions for agriculture.
Now we're looking at precision nitrogen recommendations or pest and disease mitigation, these different capabilities.
We're getting satellite imagery on a regular basis throughout the season, throughout the year, so that way we can track what's happening in the biomass development of that field and be able to track how that develops over time.
BASF is also using these layers of data, including its historical information, in a new platform called Xarvio.
It's going to turn that information into a recommendation or a decision without having to go through 5 years of trial work on farm.
Now, that platform will be available for agronomists and retailers to support recommendations for farmers.
The more data points we can get, the better chance we have of making the correct choice, especially when variety or hybrid is involved.
You know, when you start thinking white mold, one of the models that come up when we were going through the thing was it told us to spray 2 weeks ahead of time. By the time you've seen it, you needed to spray 2 weeks ahead of time, not the window on the calendar anymore.
Solutions for the future, from the future, as new data tools arrive at the farm gate. Despite some cancellations, the weed market finding a way to stay in positive territory. We'll take a look coming up next. And later, we're relaxing in Tennessee as these kids learn about the health benefits of yoga in the country. Soft red winter wheat buyers stepped in after USDA announced a third straight day of SRW cancellations from China. AgDay's Michelle Rook has more on the impact in markets now.
Grains closing mixed on Monday. Mike Miner with Professional Ag Marketing is back with us. And Mike, we saw some early pressure in the grains Monday morning with that China cancellation of more SRW wheat, but we did come back nicely in both corn and wheat.
Yeah, really nice recovery. So export inspections came out on Monday as well. And it seemed like right around that 10 o'clock period, we started to really gain some favor back in that wheat market. So it looked like we had about 30 million bushels still outstanding of the SRW wheat exports to China there that could be potentially canceled. And it'll be interesting to see. I think they probably could continue to cancel those if nothing changes, Michelle.
Do we have most of that priced in, though, at this point, Mike?
Most of it. I mean, the USDA did take a good 15 million bushel chunk off exports in the WASD airport here on Friday. So they did start adjusting that already. However, I mean, we've kind of blown through most of that at this point, but so far the shipment pace that we've had is right in line with expectations from what the USDA is expecting.
Yeah, so let's see if we can build on that. Corn already back above the 20-day moving average last week. We carried that through here this week. Are you feeling like that market is trying to bottom or not?
Yeah, I think it's had some really nice technical trade here over the past 3 trading sessions. We've held below that 20-day moving average, basically going back to July and August. And now that we finally got above it for a couple of strong closes, we've built some pretty good momentum into this.
And what about soybeans? Did we just hit chart resistance and set back, or are the funds continuing to push their record short position?
Yeah, so as of Friday, we did see a record net short position at 172,000 contracts on soybeans as of Tuesday, but we have seen a significant rally here in corn, wheat, and soybeans since then. So how many contracts they've kind of covered back up? Could have covered up quite a few of those with the 48-cent rally here since putting in its low.
You bet. Thanks, Mike. Mike Miner with Professional Ag Marketing. We'll have more Ag Day coming up.
I want to take a step back, look at the current snow depth. Usually we don't visit this map all that much the deeper we go into spring, but we're just starting the spring season in and around that territory. And this map is showing that most of the United States is pretty bare. The other part of this, Great Lakes, specifically Lake Michigan, record low ice content this season. Very, very low. A lot of open water for Lake Michigan this winter and early spring. So again, the current snow depth kind of giving you the overall look at what we are experiencing this entire season, which is more rain and warm temperatures than cold and snow. We'll keep that trend going, but there is cold air out there. Something that we were talking about last week, not for this week, but next week, another pocket of some cold air coming in across the United States. So let's visit that. This is a jet stream on Thursday. Now you got a ridge high pressure back here to the south and to the southeast, bit of a cutoff low off to the west, and that is going to allow some of these colder temperatures to move in and across the Dakotas and Minnesota, as well as into the Midwest. That includes Iowa, Missouri, and also Illinois and Indiana. This is on Sunday. Most of next week will be spent with the possibility of some cooler than average conditions in and across the United States. So between the 16th and the 20th, this is now the second half of March, expect drier conditions. That's also going to come with some colder temperatures as well. So normal is going to be right where you have the gray, and then we're going to get more towards the brown in and across parts of the Midwest, staying wetter than normal wherever you see the green back down here to the south. Interesting enough, where it has been very wet the last couple of months, you got things trying to dry out the second half. Again, that's only 4 days worth. It's not an overall weekly trend, but it is worth noting. This is what I want to show you though. The temperature outlook based on what we're seeing in the jet stream with that cutoff low combined with that colder air coming down from the north, means you got that colder than average forecast for the southeast extending back up in the Midwest and up here towards the north. We have not seen this kind of map, maybe once, at most 2 times in the winter season, something like this. Otherwise, it has been well above normal. That's what we're going to see or feel on the West Coast. Start off in Minnesota, mostly sunny, high about 54 degrees, low of 26. Kentucky, mostly sunny, high of 69 degrees, low of 51. And how about Angola, Indiana? Sun and clouds, breezy, high of 68 degrees.
For the 7th straight month, global food prices continue to fall, but dairy prices increased. Now, last month, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations reported its food price index came in at 117.3 points. You see it here in red. Now, that's the lowest level in 3 years. The agency says cereal prices saw a significant decline. That was driven by lower corn and wheat prices, while dairy prices rose more than 1% to a 9-month high, led by higher butter prices. Now, the uptick was supported by increased import demand from Asian buyers and a seasonal decrease in milk production in Oceania. And while that slight increase might be good news, margins remain very tight. Serena Sharp, an analyst with a Daily Dairy Report, says many dairy producers are already starting the year operating in the red. Now, she says the U.S. dairy herd has shrunk by more than 100,000 head since March of last year, and auctioneers are getting ready to sell a lot of herds and facilities this spring. Now, she says without a substantial increase in Class 3 prices and relief from steep deductions, the U.S. dairy industry will continue to contract. However, Class 4 futures remain well above the average cost to make milk. Sharp also says over the last week, spot milk traded at an average premium of $1.38 per hundredweight. That's up sharply from a more than $6 discount at the same time last year. Up next, improving health through stretching and strength. We'll see how extension educators in Tennessee are teaching kids about yoga in the country. The smooth, gentle movements of yoga are helpful to all people, including young children. Charles Denny of the University of Tennessee has more on how kids are learning about the physical and mental benefits of yoga in the volunteer state.
And then we're going to bring it back to center, and we're going to tilt on the opposite side.
In the middle of a busy school day at Roselle Elementary in Memphis, these 4th graders get a break from their studies.
I like that yoga is fun, and I like that the different techniques that you have of doing yoga. And how you'll be able to stretch your body out while having fun as well.
Caitlin Caldwell says math is her favorite subject in school, but sometimes you need to step away from the academics to recharge. Yoga is a big help there.
Yeah, and it's calming.
It's calming. Tell me about that. What makes it calming?
What makes it calming is like you can stretch and all that kind of stuff.
A certified yoga instructor, that's exactly the intent Tangela Henderson from UT Extension has for these students.
And when you think of children, you don't think of them being, stressed. But with kids yoga, what I found is that children have an opportunity to kind of center, ground, to kind of self-correct.
Kids Yoga is part of a UT Extension program called Thrive. Thrive stands for Tennessee Health Resources in Vaccine Education.
Henderson talks to kids about the benefits of vaccines and other aspects of good health. Here the Roselle students share an activity where they learn how germs can spread. It's all about encouraging kids to start healthy habits.
We go over nutrition, we go over physical activity, we talk about hand washing and the importance of it.
So a classroom setting that includes improving knowledge, flexibility, and self-care. And with yoga, there's positive healing for the body and mind with no age restrictions. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles, and that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at Ag Day, I'm Clinton Davis.